handsomely from the news of the French-American alliance. Diplomacy moves markets and attracts scoundrels. Franklin is America's first diplomat. His representation actually began in 1757, when the Pennsylvania Assembly sent the famous printer, publicist, inventor, scientist, community organizer, and politician to represent its interests in London. Over the course of 17 years, the colonies of Georgia, Massachusetts, and New Jersey also engaged Franklin as an envoy. Franklin loved England. As tensions increased between the colonists and London, the Philadelphian offered both visionary plans and practical suggestions to preserve and extend the empire of loyal Englishmen. Franklin had urged Britain to retain control of Canada at the end of the 7 Years' War in 1763, one of many Franklin efforts to think of America in continental terms. Later, he proposed that the American colonies receive representation in Parliament. Abandoning the idea of parliamentary supremacy over the colonies, Franklin then proposed a union of separate states, subject to the sovereignty of the Crown, much like the later British dominions. Franklin's diplomacy also extended to specific solutions. As late as December 1774, even after Franklin's battering in the cockpit, he replied to informal emissaries from the king's ministers with 17 points of hints to resolve the crisis between London and the First American Continental Congress. But the two sides turned instead to a contest of arms, will, and international diplomacy. When Franklin arrived in France in December 1776 to represent the new United States, he faced a challenge even greater than his experience in London. Paris had not recognized Franklin's country, nor had any other capital. The United States was, in reality, a loose confederation of former colonies. About a decade before, in league with their mother country, the British colonies had warred with France. Franklin's new government, an experimental republic, was untested, starting a war, creating an army and a tiny navy, and trying to raise revenue, all while loudly voicing diverse views. Franklin's mission challenged the most powerful empire in the world. He sought money, weapons, and supplies, as well as political recognition. Later, he urged the direct commitment of French troops and the assistance of France's fleets. And while wooing the French king, Franklin and his compatriots needed to achieve credibility across Europe in order to seek Dutch loans and perhaps a Spanish alliance as well. Franklin combined a new type of public diplomacy with the old. While the United States was unknown, Franklin was famous. He personalized his representation of America in ways that appealed to French opinion, even to its sense of style. The 1766 portrait of Franklin in London by David Martin is that of a gentleman scholar, wearing reading glasses and studying a book, and watched over by Isaac Newton. In France, artists painted Franklin as the frontier philosophe in his famous marten fur cap from Canada, wearing plain brown suits with no wig, and adored by playful Parisian ladies. Franklin's likeness graced medals, prints, snuff boxes, rings, and even a chamber pot that Louis XVI gave to an enthusiastic Franklin fan. To intrigue the intellectual society of Paris, Franklin highlighted the exceptional nature of America's cause. He arranged for the publication of the Articles of Confederation, state constitutions, and other Republican documents. The old publisher also planted anonymous pieces, especially parodies, to feed rumors, amuse, and mock. Franklin's diplomacy appealed to France's sense of self, its respect for the nobility of ideas, culture, and civilization, but also Gallic worldliness, wit, and pride as the historic power of Europe. At the same time, Franklin was alert to diplomatic verities. For more than 4 centuries, France and England had been enemies. France yearned to avenge its defeat by Britain in the 7 Years' War of 1756–63, in which Paris lost its American colonies. Now was the moment for George III to lose his. The wealthier plantation island